James, Kyle, for the first time since 2007, there will not be a rookie starting quarterback in week one, as Kenny Pickett has officially lost the starting job to Mitch Trubisky. Now, we covered this a couple weeks ago, and I said that I think the Steelers can get by with Mitch Trubisky. I mean, I still think it's an improvement over Ben Roethlisberger, what he was to that team last year. But Kenny Pickett didn't really lose the job in preseason. He performed well each of the games that the Steelers ran him out there. James, were you surprised by the result that Pickett didn't end up with the starting job?
Not even slightly, because I don't think any of the guys really, like off the gun, were made to be starting quarterbacks day one. I think there was some talent. I think they were all developmental, and they would have been like quarterback 5 in any other draft class. But especially Kenny Pickett, he had so many things to work on, and he had one really good year at Pitt. He like showed the improvement that he was like throwing the ball quick, whatever. But overall, you got to go with the guy who gives you the best chance to win. And that burns saying that's Mitch Trubisky. That's weird to say, and I don't like that.
Kyle, does Mitch Trubisky give them the best chance to win?
I don't know enough about Kenny Pickett. I'm usually in the camp of you should always start the rookie if you draft them in the first round, because you're delaying an inevitable growing process that if you drafted a guy in the first round anyways, what is 4 weeks really going to save you in terms of waiting to play him? I think that it doesn't make a difference either way. I also said that Mike Tomlin knows better than I when it comes to deciding who the starting quarterback is going to be. I've just used the general rule of start the first round rookie quarterback. We talk about Pickett's development, and I find that interesting because he's only like 5 months younger than Lamar Jackson, which is weird that he's basically not a fully formed quarterback, but pretty close to whatever a fully formed Kenny Pickett is going to look like. So I don't know exactly what the move for the Steelers is. I did find interesting that Pickett was listed as the third string quarterback on the depth chart. I thought that was an interesting little note from the Steelers announcing Trubisky as the starter, is that Mason Rudolph is the second stringer though. But Tomlin will make the move that I guess he thinks is suited best. And Mike Tomlin's right more often than he's wrong. So I guess he's one of those like 7 coaches that I actually have faith in will get it right in the long run, even if that means by week 6, we're seeing Pickett play. Basically, all 3 quarterbacks are going to play some amount of downs for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. Whether it's Trubisky, Rudolph, and Pickett, all 3 will play at some point during the season.
That's really interesting. I didn't even know that Pickett was listed third on the depth chart behind Mason Rudolph. At first, when I posed this question to you guys, I was wondering how much leash does Mitch have in order for Pickett to get in there. But now I'm looking at the Steelers can't realistically run out Mason Rudolph, can they?
They were trying to trade him during the lead up to the roster cuts, and just nobody wanted him. So I don't think they're necessarily in love with Mason Rudolph themselves, but they also weren't in a position to cut him. I don't think he's going to play significant minutes. And at the same time, I suspect that we'll see Mason Rudolph playing snaps for the Pittsburgh Steelers at some point during the season. It might only be like 10, 15, 20. He might only play in 1 or 2 games, but I think we're going to see Mason Rudolph at some point, and then somewhere along the line, they're going to make the turnover and say it's Pickett's team through and through. He's starting, and we're just going to go through the growing pains, which suggests to me that the Steelers are kind of anticipating a 7-win season this year a little bit.
Kyle, what you're telling me is they're going to run Mason Rudolph like Taysom Hill? That's what I'm hearing. That's the subtext there.
I like to think of it more like Brett Ripien, where it's like it's Thursday night football. Mitch is like questionable to play, and they just are like, yeah, we don't care about this game. We're playing the Indianapolis Colts or something. Let's just throw Mason out there to get Mitch healthy, even though it doesn't matter because Mitch is not going to be the starter beyond week 8.
From my understanding, I heard this report a couple weeks ago, too, in the Steelers situation. Kenny Pickett doesn't really come across great in practice, for whatever that's worth. And practice means a lot more to guys in an NFL building than it means to guys like us talking on a podcast platform right now. So I'm curious what he would have to do to beat out Mason on the depth chart from a practice point of view without game action, because it's felt like, to me, at least outsider perspective, that where Pickett was really separating was in the preseason. We're seeing him put up these gaudy numbers in the preseason, and we're like, damn, is Mitch really going to lose this job right now? And it made sense when you were really just comparing the raw numbers. So to hear that he's behind Mason tells me that Tomlin is putting a lot of stock in that, and kind of changes this around a little bit in my mind. I'm looking through the Steelers schedule, and I'm thinking like, okay, they face the Bengals week 1. Let's assume the Bengals are as good as they were last year. Okay, so that's probably a loss. Probably a winnable game the next week against Patriots. Browns, get a week with the Browns where they don't have Deshaun under center for them. So they could probably win that. They could, in theory, start 2-1, and then you don't really have questions about benching Mitch. Then you have the Jets. You can win that. You can go 3-1, and Mitch still has that leash going. Bills put you back down to earth, 3-2. Buccaneers push you back down to earth, 3-3. Get the Dolphins. That's going to be a make or break game for the playoffs, potentially, 3-4. If you go on a 3-game losing streak right there, then is that like where you're ready to press the eject button? What do you guys think?
I think that there's a very minimal chance that Mitchell Trubisky will not at the very least be questionable to play by the time we get to that week 7 game. Like he ain't going to make it fully healthy through week 7 because Mitchell Trubisky has never had a fully healthy season in his NFL career up to this point. And like you said, the leash is already kind of short. I doubt that Mitchell Trubisky is going to have... Maybe he has a game that like wows us with 4 touchdowns, but there's also going to be a game where he has 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, and they're already calling for the rookie. That's almost a guarantee to happen at some point because it happens to every quarterback. What it tells me and how the schedule breaks down for the Steelers is that they view Kenny Pickett more as like a high 2nd round guy who they happened to take late in the 1st round because he wasn't going to fall to them in the 2nd round. And therefore they're looking at him as like a low end starter for the future because otherwise, they would be kind of like clamoring to put him in, I would suggest. The fact that they're treating him the way like the Rams treated Jared Goff in 2016 is not the greatest sign in terms of confidence for Pickett. And like you said, we're guys on a podcast who don't have the same access to information, perhaps, that reporters and Mike Tomlin may have.
James, do you think we get 17 games of Mitch Trubisky then?
I mean, as a Browns fan, I hope so. I really do. No, I don't think there's any way you get 17 full games of Mitch Trubisky. There's the injury standpoint. That's, like Kyle said, nailed that one. Just talent-wise, where did this come from that we're pretending that Mitch Trubisky is this almighty being out of nowhere just because he ended up in Pittsburgh? The second he signed on with Pittsburgh in the offseason, everyone was talking about him being this like, oh, well, you know what? We should give him a chance. He wasn't that bad. He was bad. He had 1 good year and then a lot of bad.
I think what it is, James, just cut in. I think what it is just people just look at the situation he went to out the gate. He went to the Bears, who have never had a franchise quarterback in their existence. Maybe he was supposed to be a 1st round pick, but just ended up in a bad spot. That happens. But also, all the time
he was picked before Mahomes and Watson, which was always the thing that was carrying him. And then he went away for a year, and we forgot about him. Sometimes
the best thing to do in those situations, I guess, is disappear because you come back stronger after a year. Hey, maybe that pays off for someone like a Jimmy Garoppolo. It paid off for Trubisky. It paid off for Mariota. Jameis Winston got to hide away for a year, and it paid off for him. So maybe that's just the new strategy for guys who fall out of favor in the 1st round. If I have to call my shot, I will say week 10 we get some Kenny Pickett because I think they're just going to start too well with Mitch based off that early season schedule. Sorry, James. Mitch Trubisky is Mitch Trubisky, but Jacoby Brissett is Jacoby Brissett. So I'm going to pick them to win that week 3 game.
You're not telling me that you're looking forward to the high-powered shootout of Brissett versus Trubisky?
I've at least seen Trubisky attempt a deep pass. I don't remember the last time I saw Brissett do it.
That one's rough.
That's painfully fair. I hate that, but it's fair.
I will also note Steelers bye week is week 9. So they play 8 games, then they have the bye week. That will be the time where we know whether Mitch Trubisky will be playing the rest of the season or Mason Rudolph, but more likely Mitch Trubisky will be playing the rest of the season as Steelers quarterback.
All right, guys, you probably noticed this segment's a little different, not just Kyle and I, but we also joined by a guest, James from Boda. James, we need you to drop all the obligatory plugs. That way people know where to find you.
Hi, well, thank you for having me. You can find us everywhere at Boda Sports, BOTA. Instagram, TikTok is the biggest ones. There's also a Twitter, but it's really not worth them. I'm going to be 500% honest about it. Yeah, you can find all of our stuff everywhere just by searching Boda Sports.
Okay, guys, find that below in the bio. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel from Juju Talk Sports and Kyle Ledbetter. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you on the next one.